You might have noticed if you've been watching any of my flashlight videos lately that I've been on a bit of a headlamp kick. So when Armytek reached out and offered to send me a new flashlight, I selected their ELF C1. If you're interested in hearing my thoughts on this light, keep watching. I'd like to start by thanking Armytek for sending out the ELF C1 so that I can share it with you. Now this is not just a headlamp, it's actually an EDC pocket flashlight which will, because of its size, double up as a headlamp. And what we'll do, of course, is go down to the tabletop. I'll show you what all this light came with, talk about its key features, its physical and performance specifications, then of course we'll do some demonstrations. Just before we focus in on the ELF C1, let me share with you what else came with us. So this is the box, everything on the box, lots of information, good to have, of course. Inside the box, the all-important manual with warranty information. I'm going to come back to the warranty in a minute. I think you'll be impressed by that. However, having said that, there's not a whole lot of information in the manual because it is done in multiple languages. It's actually a little sparse. If you want to get a more complete manual, you have to scan the QR code, which I did, which was easy, and the full manual was there, and that's where I got most of the information for this review. Now, it did come with a headlamp strap, which is quite nice. I'll have a few comments to make about that as well. It came with a very stiff pocket clip, but very functional pocket clip. It goes on in a couple different ways on the lamp, which is also nice. A single spare O-ring for the battery compartment, and a charging cable. Okay, so what's so unusual about that? Nothing really, and in fact, it was because this light had a regular charging cable. That's one of the reasons I chose it. The last Armytek flashlight I reviewed had a proprietary magnetic charging cable, and I think you know my opinions on those. They are great as long as you have it. Once you lose it, then you're forced to find another way to charge the battery with a battery charger or something. So when I could see that this one had its own regular charging cable, I chose it. But when it arrived, I was just a little bit disappointed. It's micro USB, not USB Type-C. So this is almost as unheard of in my carry all my cables as a magnetic one would be. Yes, they're still available. Yes, they still work just fine. It's just that they're becoming more and more scarce. I'm not quite sure why they didn't just jump right to a USB Type-C, or even better, a fast charge cable. All right, we'll just put those all aside. I'll bring the light back in. Now, there is, of course, one more thing, and that is the battery inside, which is a 900 milliamp hour, 18350 lithium-ion battery. Now, so as far as key features go, one of the things that stands out for this is a 1,000 lumen turbo. Now, I know that's not especially high. I've just recently reviewed another light about the same size of this with the same size battery that was able to put out 1,800 lumens on turbo. But you have to remember, this light will likely have longer run times because it's running at a lower lumen. So as long as you're not looking for the brightest light out there, then this one still has plenty of light at 1,000 lumens. It has what's becoming more and more common, which is a magnetic tail cap. I really do appreciate that because they really lend themselves well to being used in a number of different places, and because it is flat, of course, it can tail stand as well. Here's what's really unique about it. It has a timer. Yes, you can set the on time for this light. So if you, if you're in your tent and you're reading and you laid the light down and you fell asleep while you were holding it, you can actually set the timer for either 2, 5, or 10 minutes, and it will turn itself off. Kind of a unique feature. A little bit of a process to get through to that, but I don't know of any other light that has a timer on it, so that's really cool. Here's the thing that really stands out about it, at least one, and there's a few more things, a few more attributes as well. This has a 10-year full coverage warranty. All of Armytek's lights, they are just so well built and so heavy duty that they will stand behind their product for a full 10 years. I don't know of another flashlight company on the market that has a 10-year warranty. That's got to say something about the quality of the light. Now, as far as the physical specifications for the ELF C1, I'll do this very briefly because, of course, this will be repeated in the video description for your reference. Length, 75.9 millimeters. Diameter at its widest, which is across the head, 33 millimeters. Diameter of the body, 20.4 millimeters. weight 2.7 ounces or 779 grams. This is IP68 rated, but I got to qualify that because, yes, that's the highest rating I've seen on any flashlight, but you won't believe this. This is rated for 10 meters submersion underwater for 5 hours. Usually it's 2 meters for 20 minutes to an hour. So 10 meters underwater for 5 hours. So yeah, super, super watertight. And impact resistance. Again, I actually thought this was a mistake when I first read it, but it is not. A 10-meter drop protection. So this can withstand a drop from 10 meters in height on hard surface without damage to the light. Again, both of those are another couple of features that make this stand out in terms of all the flashlights that I've tested. Now, the performance specifications for the ELPH C1, they're a little different, at least the terminology that Armytek uses. So they do call their highest level turbo, and as I mentioned, it's 1,000 lumens. That'll last for 4 minutes before dropping down to 530 lumens, lasting another 52 minutes. So not extremely high, but it does have longer run times at that turbo. And you can reach turbo, as I mentioned, I'll show you in a minute, through double tap, but you can just run it through the cycles and you can run it up to turbo. So a little bit different that way. Now, they have three, what they refer to as main lights, main 1, main 2, and main 3. So main 3 being the highest of the three is 500 lumens with a runtime of 1 hour 11 minutes. Main 2 is 220 lumens with a runtime of 3 hours. Main 1 is a runtime or a lumen setting of 40 with a runtime of 15 hours. So those are the main settings, but it also has 2 Firefly settings. Why they chose this terminology, I'm not sure, but you know, it really is essentially the same as other lights, just different names for it. But the Firefly settings are Firefly 2, which is 2 lumens, which will last for 8 days, and Firefly 1, which is 0.11 lumen, which will last for 60 days. I think one of the reasons they differentiate the Firefly levels from the main levels and turbo is because of the way you go about accessing them, which we'll get to now. All right, just before we get into the operation, I thought I'd give you a little bit of a close-up of the light, and there's a couple of features in the operation that I want to mention. So you can see how the light is designed. It's kind of a semi-rubberized tactile feel, the coating on the aluminum. I did want to show you the pocket clip, and I will put it on. As you can see, it's just a nice stainless steel pocket clip, and as I mentioned, I'm going to put it on, but I'll tell you, putting it on is easy enough, but taking it off is another thing altogether. So when you get it on there, you can put it in one of 3 sections, flip it around, and put it on the other way. So, you know, it does give you a few options in terms of the pocket clip, and it is a nice pocket clip, very deep carry as well. Boy, does it ever grab onto the light. It's easy enough to get in and out of your pocket, but does it ever grab onto the light, as I mentioned? Right, while I have it here, this rubberized or silicone yellow ring around the outside also contains the cover for the port itself, so you can see the port. I think this cover is more as a dust cover than it is a waterproof cover, because this would not work at 10 meters underwater. But so I'm assuming, and this is only an assumption on my part, in order to give it that type of a waterproof rating, the port itself must be waterproofed away from the electronics inside. You can't miss that on-off switch. You know, it stands out with that yellow on it, doesn't it? And of course, you can see the reflector inside. It's not that the reflector is orange peeled, it is that the lens is orange peeled. So that's how you get the diffusion of light and gives you the wide floodlight that you'll see when we get it outside. So not a lot more to see on the outside of this. There would be a place for a lanyard if it had been included, but I didn't receive one with my light. I will show you the headlamp strap in a few moments' time as well, once we've done the operation of it. So operation is very, very simple. It's simply on or off. Now, if you want to run through the main lumen settings, you turn it on and then hold it, and you'll see it run low. Well, main 1, main 2, main 3 is the way it's running. Now, we're at main 3, which is the lowest of the main settings, and if you double tap, that's when you go directly to turbo. So it's kind of nice that you can go directly to turbo, but it's not required. You can actually just turn it on, and you can see it came back on internal in turbo, and if you hold it, it just cycles through those ones. Now, it also has the 2 Firefly settings, and like a lot of other brands, to access the Firefly settings, you press and hold, and if you press and hold, it will come on in the Firefly 2, which is the lower of the 2 settings, and then hold it again, and it goes up to the next setting. And then if you hold it again, now you're going to run up into the mains and through again. But it doesn't run back down through the Firefly. So the Fireflies are a little bit segregated from the main settings. That's just something that you need to be aware of. Now, I'm not going to actually demonstrate how you set the timer for this, but I'll show you the procedure, or at least talk about the procedure. And it's not that it's complicated, it's just that there is a sequence that, well, unless you have it memorized, you're probably going to have to refer to your notes to see how it works once in a while. So it starts with the light is off, unscrew the cap a quarter turn, press and hold the on button. While you're pressing and holding it, screw it back on, and then press and you'll tap through to which of the timed settings, 2, 5, or 10 minutes, that you want to use. And that's where it remains. It'll remain in that timed setting until you want to disable it. To disable the time setting, you again turn it 1/4 turn, so you're breaking the connection with the battery, and then tighten it back up. Now, while I'm showing you that, I should mention there is no electronic lockout for this light. It's only that physical lockout, which is a 1/4 turn of the light. So that's how that works. And the more I thought about it, you really don't need it. This is not something that's going to accidentally turn on in your pocket. That button is very easy to find, but it's not going to be something that'll likely be pushed on unintentionally in your pocket. So that's a good thing to know as well. All right, I will pull the pocket clip off and show you what it looks like with the head strap, and I'll have a few comments to make about that as well. All right, I pulled the pocket clip off camera, and part of the reason is it's a struggle. It really is. You can hurt yourself pulling this off. So it's not something that you want to be taking on and off on a regular basis. Either put it on, leave it on, or take it off, leave it off. It's either way. But you do have to have it off if you're going to use it with the head strap. The head strap is really just a very, very simple mount. Now, the mounting bracket itself can be removed from the strap. It has one of the splits on either side, and then you could really mount that on a backpack, such as maybe on a sternum strap if you want to be using it there, or any of the other straps that are of the right diameter or right width for this. So that's nice. Now, it's so easy to mount. I mean, there's no special technique for it. It just kind of slides in. It stays there very easily, but you can pull it out just as easily. I don't know if I were to drop it, if it would stay in, but that's not a scenario I foresee. Rotation is infinite. You can actually go a full 360 degrees if you want to, so you can aim it pretty much where you want to just by rotating it in its mount. And of course, you can access the on-off button just as easily. So you just wanted to point that out. Now, the only comment I'll have about the strap itself is that it's quite heavy duty. It's got a fair amount of stretch to it. It is tight stretch. But for me, it's too short. It's just a little bit too short. You can see I've got it maxed out, and that's my comfort where I'm wearing this around my head. So if you have a large head, yes, I do have a bit of a large head, so if you have a large head, you may not find this all that comfortable. And, that's fine if you have a smaller head, but my concern here, and it's not a deal breaker, you just have to be aware, this will not fit over a beanie or a toque with any comfort at all, which is something I like to have my flashlights able to do so that I can use them in the winter time as well. And so it's just one small con for this. We're doing some nighttime demonstration of the Armytek ELF C1. Now, there are 2 Firefly modes on this light, but both of them are solo that they won't show up. So I'll start off on main 1. This is main 1, a little bit of illumination out in front of me. It is all flood, but it's not casting out very far. It's just barely lighting up my backyard and my shed. Let's take it up to main 2. Now that's quite a bit more light, still all flood. It is lighting up the backyard generously, but not brightly. This would be main 3. That's a lot of light. Yeah, that actually is very, very useful amount of light. Now let's take it to turbo. For such a small light and only rated at 1,000 lumens, this is doing a great job of lighting up all of my yard, the neighbor's yard, And I can see a little bit beyond that, but clearly the entire yard is lit up. All right, a few closing thoughts for the Armytek ELF C1. What do I really like about this? Well, as you saw when we got it outside, it has a great floodlight, not much of a spotlight, but that is fine because my uses for a headlamp are being able to see immediately around me and just far enough that I can navigate through the woods if I need to. So this really does work well as a headlamp for that purpose, but also just as well as an EDC light. It is small enough and light enough that I can put it in my pocket with that pocket clip, great pocket clip for carrying in your pocket, that is. Of course, it can also be used for mounting maybe on a sternum strap if you didn't want to use the mount that's on the headlamp strap itself. So it's a great light that way. It's a very white light, nice clean white light, which is something else I appreciate because of course that gives you your best color rendition, the best true appreciation of any colors that you may be looking at. So those are the things I really like about it. Now, I cannot help but like the 10-year warranty, the 10-meter drop protection, the 10-meter submersion. These really are industry standards. Again, I don't know of any other light out there that has that kind of protection or durability or strength, if you want to, plus the protection of the warranty to go along with it. So those are the things I really like about it. Now, there's a few things that aren't really cons, but things to be aware of. It's not really all that bright. At the highest setting on its turbo setting, it's still only 1,000 lumens. That's not bad. That's nothing to complain about. 1,000 lumens is still really good for a headlamp and for most EDC lights. But there are other lights out there in the same class, price, weight range, size range that have much brighter lights. So I guess it depends. How important is it to have that 1,000 or higher than 1,000 lumen when, you know, this has so many other features going for it? So I just wanted to point that out. Again, not an absolute con, but just I didn't quite understand why they went with micro USB as opposed to USB Type-C. It just is the industry standard now is USB Type-C. Most of my cables are now USB Type-C, and I've kind of been migrating away from the micro USB. I got to keep some cables around because I still have some older devices that require them. But if you're buying a brand new device, you kind of expect it to come with USB Type-C. Again, not a deal breaker. Just something to know about. Make sure you've got a couple cables in your collection that will work with it. Now, again, not a deal breaker, but a bit of an annoyance, and that is the size of the headband strap. It really could be maybe just 3-4 inches bigger, and you would get a lot more versatility out of it. People with heads my size or larger would appreciate having the adjustability, and if you want to wear it over a toque or a beanie or any other hat for that matter in the wintertime, you're also going to want it to be bigger. So I just wanted to point those things out as well. Okay, that's everything I have to say about the Armytek ELF C1. If you have any comments or questions, please put them in the comments section below. All the information I've given you, including the links to where you can take another look at this, will be in the video description. But until next time, get out and explore and take that past left travel because it will make all the difference. Bye for now.